What's up, all the Power Ass crew? Just think, you just got to bump your cable just a little bit to snug it up on the roll. But you got to deal with the cables of your winch controller. Ugh. So you dig out your wireless controller. Battery's dead. But there's an easier solution. Install a bump switch. Much easier. Let me show you how it's done. Now to get the control box off, you've got a 4-way screw here and another one over here, or at least on this control box anyway. So I've got this 4-way bit, Phillips bit. I'm going to stick it back inside here like that. Then give me a 1/4 inch wrench, and the only thing I got to do is back up that screw just enough to take it off this bar right here. Then on this control box, I got 4-way screws up in here, there, and there, which will take the lid off the control box. Don't ask what brand name the winch is, I have no idea. Years ago, when I was sponsored by Oxbeam for my lighting and stuff, they had a spin-off company called Oxmart, which sold other things other than lighting, and winches was one of them. So they sent me the winch to say, hey, would you make a video with this? Well, they sent it to me. You take a heavy 12,000 pound winch, package it in styrofoam. Can you imagine the chaos that caused inside that box? Everything inside it was busted. My controller, my winch controller, it was busted. Yeah, it was just like, it was a mess. So back and forth with them a little bit, then they wanted me to start doing angry grills. That's when I cut ties with them. I said, I will not put angry grills on my channel. Not happening. So I've used this winch just a little bit lightweight stuff. It seems to work okay. I haven't put it under any kind of heavy load yet, but I don't know. It was a freebie, what can I say? And so now, let's get that switch wired in. We got the top off the control box, and that's not exactly what I expected. It's got continuous duty solenoids instead of that. This is what I really expected. But that's alright, we can handle this. Right here we got 3-wire controller. You're going to have one wire that's going to supply power to the other two. The switch, where'd my controller go? My remote. On the 3-wire plug, one of these is going to be full-time power. The other one's going to be going forward, the other one goes reverse. So as you alternate the rocker switch back and forth, it alternates which one of these other lugs gets fed power. So that's what we got to find out down here. Coming off your plug here, you got this red. The red hits this big bus bar right here. Now I do have the power turned off. I've got a master control switch in my Jeep that turns the power on and off to my winch. So right now all this whole circuit's dead. So the red wire is going to this big lug here, which goes there and goes back to the battery. So that means this one is the full-time hot. This blue wire and this white wire activates the two different solenoids, one going forward, one going reverse. We just got to figure out which one's which. Don't know if you guys heard that little subtle thump in the background. That's my continuous duty solenoid that supplies power to the winch. So right now, let me show you guys. Now that I have the master control switch inside the Jeep turned on, you should be able to see that I got power going to the winch. So we'll take my black lead here, find me a ground anywhere, scratch it on that bolt right there, and off this bus bar I should have 12 volts, and I do. 12.2, 12.3, so we're good. We got power going to the solenoids. Now I'm just going to take this piece of wire and I'm going to jump the solenoids to make it go forward or reverse to figure out which one's which. And weird enough, come to find out, this thing's got a wireless module inside of it. I've got a wireless remote in the house. I just wonder if it'll work on that. We may just find out here in a bit. We'll let it hang right there for right now. It's making me go squirrel. Alright, so I want to touch it to that bus bar right there. That white comes off here to this one. That is going in, I think. Blue wire coming over here. Woo! Why did they do that? Put it over here so I can see what's going on. We'll touch the blue. Okay, that's feeding out. And that's going in. Out, in. Yeah, just for the fun of it, we'll do it again. That should feed out, so we're coming off the blue wire here. Yep, it's feeding the wire out. This is coming off the white wire here. And that's going in. So we have that set up correctly. So now we got to take our rocker switch and figure out where we're going to put it for our bump switch. So what we're using here is a momentary on, off, on. And here's the little plates to go with it. On, off, on. So being a momentary on, off, on, when I push it this way, I have to hold it. When I turn it loose, it goes back to center. Or if I push it this way, it's on, but when I turn it loose, it goes back to off. It defaults to the center position. So this is a momentary on, off, on switch. On, off, on. Momentary means I have to hold it in place. When I turn it loose, it goes back. So now we got to figure out where we're going to mount this inside the box. And looks like I'm going to have, see, I want it to where I can push the switch back and forth. Say, push it this way, feeds wire out. Push it this way, pulls wire back in. In order for me to do that, I'm going to hang it pretty low down here to keep it away from that bus right there. Or if I can just not be picky and put it like that, that'll clear all this. Just that way be up and that would be out, whatever. I'm still going to try to get it pretty low down here so I can position it like I want. So I'm going to drill my hole. I'll be back in a minute. Mark about where the center of my switch is going to be setting. Give it clearance off this post right here. I'm going to try to tuck it under that bus bar right there. It'll either be right or messed up. We'll find out. One more. Alrighty, now I'm going to turn the main power off on this thing. So I'm going to drop that switch inside there, see if it clears like I want it to. If it does, we'll start the wiring process. Did y'all hear that thump? That was me turning off my winch. And I have the video on that as well that I can link up so you guys can check out how I did that. So I want it to lay down the side there. I could have went down a little lower, but I can make it work. I think I want to lay it in like this to keep that center post down away from that lug. Yeah, I can do it like that right there. And that'll keep, it's not touching that lug anywhere. Yeah, I actually should have dropped that down just a little bit lower. I've been good, but it's alright. I can make it happen. So let me go get my electrical goodies and we'll wire this baby up. Did y'all know there's a right and wrong way to crimp these? If you notice that curl right there where the wire goes inside there, right there is your seam where the, I'm going to call it a barrel for the sake of conversation, where the barrel rolls around this way, and your seam is right there. Whenever you're crimping, your crimps has got those little teeth sticking out right there. Find a way to block this. See the little teeth sticking out? Then the other side's got the little loop or the little drop trough. The way you put them in is that tooth sticking down into the trough. You take that tooth and push it from the solid side of the barrel and put the split down inside the drop or the trough or whatever you want to call it. Because then whenever you bite down on it, that tooth right there is not going to split that seam right there. It's actually going to make the impression in the solid side of the crimp connector. So we'll feed that up in there. And give her a good squeeze. Oh, get back in the camera. Then you can see right there how I made a good impression there. Versus if you would have done it on the front side and put that tooth on the front side, more than likely it's going to split that seam and you won't get a good solid connection. These are probably like one of my favorite set of cutters right here. They're made by Vice Grip. These are awesome. But you can cut here, bigger cable, smaller cable, whatever. But you can also take, you get it here and just go squeeze real subtle, a little bit squeeze real subtle, boop, strip it right out. These things are awesome. As I pointed out earlier, this is the one that's going to be feeding the switch, the power in. And so on that one, I've got one of these big lugs there. And there's a small one that's going on the switch. I always keep a big different assortment of your terminals. It's one of those things, oh my gosh, I need it, and you don't have it, and then you're like, crap, I gotta go to the store, you know, all that fun stuff. So we'll keep this like that, tuck it down low. That's where the switch is going to end up. But make sure you're not touching this one. There's that. And I need a weed wrench for those. Now these are the two wires that's going to be reversing it. As this right here, we just put in, that's the one feeding power to the middle of the switch here. And as I rock it back and forth this way, that way, it sends power to this one or this one. So these two wires is going to go on the end lugs here. The main feeder wire goes to the center here. Again, like I said, this is the middle being feeding the wire to it. As you rock the switch back and forth, it alternates the power between the two outsides. And my short wire comes over here, and again, bigger lug, little lug, or terminal, whatever. I've already broken that loose. It's 8mm. That was a 12mm down there, in case your solenoids had the same type setup. What you probably won't, because if you got a good winch like Warren or something like that, it's not going to be using these cheap things. This is one of those cheap Chinesium winches. But I've got a Warren A274 that I'm rebuilding right now, so not a problem. But as of right now, the A274 Warren's going on rust bucket. So I got that one tight. White comes off here, so I need to do this one. And this wire is just a little bit longer than that one, obviously, because the solenoid's out further. Put that on there. Oop. There's that. Now we wire up the switch. We'll do the center post first. If you use the fork terminals, you can just loosen the screw, slide up inside there, tighten it up, but I really prefer using ring terminals because they're less likely to give you issues. Come down here, we're going to put that on there, stick it through there. Yeah. Now before I get froggy hooking these wires up, I need to figure out which way, because my switch has got to set like that to clear that bus bar. So when I push the switch that way, feeding the cable out, push the switch that way, pulling the cable in. So I got to make sure that I'm wiring it up correctly. So what I'll do is I'll take my multimeter, turn it to continuity. I had to wait for the car to go down the road. It was loud. It has a little speaker sound looking thing right there. You got a diode, ohm, and you got the little triangle speaker looking thing. Then I push select and it creates that little icon right there. So what that does for me is makes me go beep. It's a little beep. Get up here where you can hear it maybe. So I touch the leads together. That tells me I have continuity, which means the circuit is complete. And okay, see, now I'm touching this one and the middle one and pushing the switch backwards. I'm pushing it toward the Jeep. I got nothing. Now I'm push it forward away from the Jeep. Hear the beep? That means I got continuity, which means when I push it forward, these two posts right here is what's going to feed the cable outward. It's going to push the cable out this way. These two, I'll push the switch back toward the Jeep. Hear the beep? That's pulling the cable back toward the Jeep. And that's pretty common, honestly. I did that. I mean, I already knew that, but it's just a sake of us going to show it to you guys. Because it's very common that your rocker style switches, your middle is going to be your common, but whenever you push the lever that way, it connects these two. When you push the lever this way, it connects these two. Imagine this. Push the lever this way. Notice how the lever is at an angle like this. Now this lever is pointing toward that post, indicating, hey, that's the post it's activating. Push it this way. Notice our switch toggle is at an angle like this. It's pointing at this one, meaning that's the one that's going to activate. Little tip there for you. So this one feeds out. I'm going to go like this. I want my cable to feed out. This is out right here. This cable needs to go there. I'm having to watch my battery on my camera. It's pushing it. So you guys know what's up. I'm going to turn the camera off for a moment and get me another battery. But this wire goes there. The other wire goes there. Because why? It's all in how the angle of this. Pushing this way, it goes to that post. Push this way, it goes to that post. So we got the switch wired up. Let me turn the winch on and we'll try it out. Hear my solenoid go thump. Okay. So if I push the switch this way, I'm going to feed the wire out. Ah, look at that. Ain't that pretty? Now I'm going to move the switch this way, which feeds the wire in. We're good. Sweet. Now I'm going to tuck the switch in and get it put together. I'm turning the winch off first so I don't cause sparks. It's really close. I mean, like I said, I should have dropped that hole down probably by another 1/8 of an inch or so. I probably got enough room, but bump switch installed. So one more time, I'll go turn the winch on. We'll give it one more final test and put it all back together. Okay, I've got the winch turned on. Push cable out. Bring cable back in. Yes, put it back together. I said this a while back, I really need to take this thing up to the farm, stretch that cable out, tighten it up correctly, but yeah. Okay, put it all back together again. Bet y'all was wondering if I was going to cram that wireless module back down in there. I had to rearrange my wire a little bit to shove it back, but it fits. And switch is all good, which I've got it all turned off now. Put the top back on, mount it back to the winch. And here in a moment, I'm going inside to get one of my wireless remotes that I was going to show you guys how to install wireless setups. See if it'll work with that. It'd be kind of cool. Finish off the install with a sticker. Woo, yeah. So I went inside and got my wireless remote, and it does not work with that wireless module. And you can see from this module right here that comes with this remote that, yeah, that is a wireless module inside there, but the company that sent me the winch didn't send me the wireless remote. That's all right. No big deal. So don't let wiring stuff like this scare you. Things like this is pretty simple once you look at your wiring. You're going to have one main feed wire, one main power wire. That's going to be divided between the two solenoids. The other two wires just completes the circuit to whichever solenoid it needs to spin that winch over. Or in the case you got something like this right here, then you're alternating your power between these poles. So now, honestly, when I opened up that box, I expected to see one of these. So I don't know anything about those style contactors, how long they're going to last or anything. But I will keep this in the Jeep in my recovery bag. Just in case that one fries, I can wire this one in. Or I may just wire this one in anyway and keep a spare one of these, because I kind of like these better. I don't know what the amperage rating is on those, and I get this thing under a hard load, and you know, I need to rescue me or one of my buddies or something. I don't like failures. So I may go ahead and wire this in sometime. Is that a video you guys want to see? If it is, tell me down in the comments how to wire these in. So, Power Ass Crew, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for hanging out. Peace. Later, y'all.